Hello there everybody, how's it going and how have you been? Welcome back to SpaceChem. Without further ado, let's continue into the 63 Corvi DLC. And we have this particular level. Once again, just in case you skipped the prior episode for whatever reason, all the reactors in 63 Corvi have this special white line down the middle. Atoms cannot pass it, so you have to use these quantum tunnels to teleport atoms from one side to the other. And they can only teleport one single atom at a time. So, I did peek at this level at the end of the last episode just to see if it was worth solving really fast. And I decided it wasn't, obviously, but what we've got now is, well, I guess the end result, I should say, is that I've been thinking about it, and I have a pretty good idea of what to do. So, first off, Red is going to call in the acetylene. And I want a pair of sinks just like this. Blue. Going to sink. Swap to send an atom through the tunnels. Not bond. Going to grab it. Drop it there. Attempt to make 3 bonds. Now, this won't triple bond the hydrogen to the carbon, because hydrogen only ever wants to make a total of 1 bond, so this is absolutely fine. A little bit of a brute force method, but whatever. Alright, then you will... I actually need to pick up here. Okay, this is not going to be quite as easy as I thought. Unless I rotate some of these. So, what if instead of having the tunnel there, I have it set up like this? Actually, yeah, leave that as a grab drop. Have blue go in a little bit of a loop, because the Waldos are okay to pass this line. This will attempt to forge the 3 bonds. He will then pick it up, put it down right there, go back to the starting point. However, if there is a hydrogen on the sensor, which there will be once the whole acetylene molecule has been moved through, he will actually have to go this way. Grab it here. Oh, and it wants the acetylene through the omega output. I just realized. Okay, I can still do that. Actually, if I move start to right there. There we go. Alright, that should work. Let's get rid of this because we don't need it. And then for red, he just slowly inches his way towards the quantum tunnel so that blue can pull the atoms through one by one. Alright. Don't think I explained this level very well, but watching it run should kind of take care of that for me. So all these sinks will make sure that red waits in the correct space. Blue pulls the atom through, grabs it, bonds it, all that good stuff. And yeah, he's slowly reforming the acetylene on the other side. Yeah, it's fine the way it is. I was going to stop it and move the sensor command over here, just to save Blue this little S track that he has to this little bend in his track that he has to follow, but you know what, it's fine. Just hit hit speed 4 and get on with it. Another research level, okay. We have methane and carbon, and we have to make methane. Okay. I'm not sure why we're given an input of just carbon. I think I know how we can solve this one, though. Oh wait, no. I think I know why we have this input of just carbon. And I believe it's so that we can kind of kickstart doesn't feel like quite the right word. I think you will see what I mean in just a second. I'm going to leave the sensor right there until I can figure out where I want it. But red is going to call in a carbon. Send it through right away, and then here is where his link is going to start. Now, I need blue to do is move the carbon off of the tunnel. Drop it there. And then bend back around and get ready to start looping. So let's see, so sync, swap, and then I can reuse the grab by doing this. In turn, because this puts blue in charge of the tunnels for the methane, I need red to see if he's holding onto the carbon. Stop here. Stop there. No, like that, actually. And with this kind of spiral inward towards the quantum tunnel, this should pull the hydrogens off one by one. Now, as for blue, and I do want this 2 space gap right here, just so that, just to match the 2 spaces that it's going to take red to call in and send through this first lone carbon atom, just to kind of ready the whole process. As for the hydrogens, blue will grab them, bond them to the carbon that's sitting right here, spin it 90 degrees, put it back down, and go back into this part of the loop. Now the key is going to be knowing, I think I want the sensor there. So, let's see, the first hydrogen, there will be one here. The second hydrogen, they will be here. On the third, they will be here. And on the fourth, I think this might have him leave one too early. Actually, I'd have to change this anyway because there's no space on the around the methane where he can actually grab it again. Well, I mean, I could have red come through and pick it up. But I kind of like having like red working one end of the quantum tunnel and blue working the other, so actually I think if we have the sensor right here, that will work beautifully. No, I'm sorry, right there. Just like this. And we put the atom sense command right there. And I think this should work. I might have to stick another sync command like somewhere over here just to get red to go back towards start. Actually, I don't want him to start back up there. I want him to start here. Because the methane from the first... where's this... oh, God. Hang on. That sentence was spoken so convolutedly that my brain kind of imploded. The second... oh my God. The carbon from the first methane is actually going to be used in the carbon for the second methane over here. It's because I need this one lone carbon atom first so that the hydrogens have something to attach to. So, as weird as that is to think, every carbon that comes in from alpha is actually going to be on the next, used for the next methane over here. But you know what, enough yammering, let's just see if it puts the molecule together like I hope it does. And restart successfully, for that matter. Okay, actually, I think if I delete... wait, no. I get rid of every other sync. Actually, that should work out just fine. It was going to work before, but this way blue's not... or half the times blue tries to run the hydrogen part of his loop, he's not going to be doing nothing. So, there's the carbon to kind of get everything ready. I know there's a word for it, I just can't think of it. First hydrogen is attached. So is the second one. And the third. Okay. One thing I am going to have to do, however, is put a swap command for blue right over here so that he pulls the carbon from the first methane molecule through and gets everything reset. But if you will pardon what at least sounds to me like my throat's starting to dry out, I think that'll do it for this level too. Okay. This will work. Again, I'm getting the feeling that I'm not really explaining my thought processes very well, and I'm sorry for that. Oh, joy, it's these things again. For anybody that watched the Fleetaeus part of the story, the story mode, you'll probably remember these word guys. And it looks like we have to let's see, the omegas have to be joined with the hydrogen to make omega acetylene, and the carbons have to be put together into a carbon ring. Okay. Now, these guys are particularly annoying just because they're all such different shapes from one another. But I know we're going to need a quantum reactor to dissolve these guys, the carbomegas, down. I think I can handle breaking down the hydrogen gas and combining it with the omega in a single reactor. Actually, let me put a note on this guy, element omega. And that leaves just one quantum reactor to put together the carbon ring. Okay. Now, I didn't time-lapse through the first production level because it was kind of a tutorial, but I'm probably going to time-lapse through this one just because I imagine figuring out this first reactor to dissolve the carbo-omega molecules is probably going to take me a while. So, I will be right back. Okay guys, I'm back. Did not test these reactors at all, but let's start at the end and work our way forward for a change. Or backward, I guess. So the reactor that puts together the carbon rings, Red has a very simple job. He just calls in a carbon atom, confirms to Blue that one's present, and then he sends it through for him. Blue, upon getting confirmation from Red, picks up the carbon atom right when it comes through the tunnel, puts it down, tries to make double bonds, picks it up and slides everything up a layer. So kind of a slight tweak on the acetylene level that we just completed. And he will repeat this until he's made a stack of 3 tall carbons, which should be all double bonded together. And this weird assembly over here, the first stack he makes, he'll just put here. Try to double bond it, can't do anything because there's nothing to connect it to. Can't pick up anything, can't put down anything. Won't make any more bonds. This output command will not get rid of the first 3 carbon because some of them are sticking up here inside. And then if they're still there, he will grab the stack and move it over into position for the second one. In which case, there will be stuff to bond, there will be stuff for him to grab, and consequently, after making these last 2 bonds, which should connect the top of the ring, the entire molecule is now an omega, and it should be able to leave. Over here, Blue is essentially doing what he did for the acetylene level. The difference is that over here, Red's logic works just a little bit, well, differently. He brings the hydrogen gas molecule up. Upon syncing with Blue, Blue will pull the left side hydrogen through, and then Red will just leave the other one here, although there's really not any reason to, now that I think about it. So let's just get rid of that, actually. And then, rather than moving the hydrogen that he's holding onto straight away towards the tunnel, he will call in 2 omega elements, waiting to tell Blue that it's okay to bring them through. And I just realized I actually need to change Blue's track just a little bit. Here we go. Okay, so now Blue will actually be able to pick up the atoms that come through the quantum tunnel, as opposed to just repeatedly sending them back and forth until there's too many. Anyway, back up here. This will make it so that Blue does not call atoms through the tunnel until Red is ensured that there's an omega in place. Then after the 2 omegas have gone through, for the center part of omega acetylene, Red just brings over his hydrogen, puts it down, reuses the sync command to have Blue pull it through, and then restarts. This reactor is the one I'm kind of worried about, because in my head, this weird pattern that Red follows should be able to slowly work all the carbon and omega atoms from any of these 3 molecules through the quantum tunnel. Blue I know will work because he's just a sorting rig. He makes Red move forward a square, yanks off the atom, picks it up, figures out what it is, sends it through the appropriate output. Easy peasy, Blue should not cause any trouble. I've tried to mentally map out the path of the molecules following this route, but I can't shake the feeling that I'm forgetting one. So I think I'm going to watch this reactor first until we've seen one of each type of molecule go through. So consequently there will be some sinks that do not send atoms through, simply because it's the shape of the molecule. But it looks like it's handling the hook shape okay. Oop. Oh. Okay. Need a drop command there. course, it's the reactors that I'm confident will work fine that are breaking, and this one seems to be, the one that I'm worried about breaking actually seems to be working pretty fine. Okay, it handles the hook shape alright. And... okay... does not handle the L. What I need to do is move down from this square. Now it should still be able to handle the hook. Simply because of the virtue of this double grab, this will ensure that no matter what, red is holding on to the leftmost edge of these molecules. So it's absolutely fine for him to press up against this wall. Let's just make sure that it still works for the hook. Yep, okay. So that's good. It can handle the L. And we've got another hook. You know, can do this one. The only one left is the S, I guess I'll call it. The S shape. The lightning bolt. Oh, come on, give me a lightning bolt. Well, I hear it ticking up, so I know the other reactors are working just fine. Okay. No, I think it's... yep, okay. Okay, hang on, hang on. Okay, so the problem is for the L's, red has to move down from this square to avoid leaving any atoms behind. For the bolts, red has to move to the right from this square to not leave anything behind. Okay. Alright, let's keep red moving to the right. And he will... sink immediately? Keep trying to mentally picture where these molecules are going. And unfortunately, I think we're creeping towards the back end of our time window. Well, no, actually... no, wait, hang on. 21... yeah, I think we're creeping towards the back end of our time window. Really quick, trial and error. I'm just gonna see what happens if I do this. Okay. Nope. So... maybe I can use the bonders, actually, to help. So the problem was that there's an omega left behind right there. for the bolt. See, I can either have an omega left behind here for the bolt, or a carbon left behind here for the L. Fortunately, I don't think I have... I can't go down from this space because then red will start banging part of the hook into the bottom of the reactor and that will cause a fail. And considering there are two sinks in the way already, let's change it back to having the L be the one that breaks. Now, if I have him bond it to the carbon that's left behind, then he'll have one carbon on top of the one he's holding. Ooh, hang on. Idea. Just gonna move you right there for a second. I think if I do that, that should handle the L's. Because what will happen is, for the hook and the bolt, the remaining atoms will be swiveled 90 degrees clockwise, which I believe will be okay. Anyway, point then is that they'll try to bond, and for the bolt and the hook they won't do anything. For the L, he will reconnect carbon to the carbon that was left behind when an omega went through. And this will spin everything back so that it's all below the red Waldo, and then it should be able to just use this whole section to send it all through. So let's see. Now it should be able to get past, because, yeah, that shaves everything off from above it. Doesn't matter if it reinforces any bonds, because the quantum tunnels delete all bonds when an atom goes through. Or carbon to an omega, whatever. Atom to atom, that's the main point. Okay, it now handles L's. So if it handles a bolt, we should be good. And I think it's going to handle a bolt. Yep, it totally does. Awesome. Okay. Now, for anybody that's interested, I'll quickly show how the carbon ring and the omega acetylene reactors work. So, and just like I said, Blue assembles a stack of 3 carbons. They're all double bonded. First time through, nothing special happens, and he just moves the stack from the left side to the right side. Second time, however, because there's something for everything to bond to, he makes the double bonds at the bottom of the ring, moves the whole thing down, makes the ones at the top, and delivers it. And this reactor is running absolutely swimmingly. Red sends one of the hydrogen atoms through first, then sends through 2 Omega before sending the second, and Blue really doesn't know any better, but he puts the Omega acetylene together anyway. Alright, so let's hit speed 4. Okay, just waiting on the carbon rings. Awkwardly waiting. Okay. So now... Oh, this is not a defense level. This is an execution level. Let's see, that was 16... No, you know what, we're at 36 minutes. I think we're gonna leave it here for this episode. Honestly, because I just don't really trust this level. I would not be surprised if it throws kind of a curveball at us. I'm pretty sure I remember what to do, but I don't remember the molecules we have to make, so I'm gonna leave it here. And thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all had a great time, and I hope you all have a great day. I will see you in the next episode, and farewell for now.